Okay, so we're on to section 1.5. This is the last section before the quiz, and today we're going to compare and order rational numbers. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is comparing and ordering decimals. That's pretty much, I think, the easiest thing to do, because all you have to do is first take a look which ones are your negatives and which ones are your positives, and then just line them up. So I'm going to line up my negatives first. I'm going to do this from least to greatest. Okay, so the least ones, remember the negative numbers are always smaller than the positive numbers. So I'm going to work with these two first. So I have negative 25, and then I'm going to line it up with the decimal point. So I'm going to fill in my decimal point. And then I have negative 2.5. Notice how I lined up the decimal points. I'm going to fill in a 0 here. And then which one is further away from 0, negative 25 or negative 2? Negative 25 is further away from 0, so that's going to be my smallest number. So negative 25. My next smallest number is going to be negative 2.5 because it's closer to 0, but it's still negative. So I'm done with these. Now I'm going to work with my positive numbers. I'm going to line them up again with the decimal point. 2.05 and then 0.205. And I'm going to fill in that 0 so I can compare them. So which one is smaller, 2 or 0? 0 is smaller, so I'm going to write 0.25 next, and then 2.05. Notice how I'm writing them in, oops, this was supposed to be 0.205. So notice how I'm writing them the same way that they appear up here, instead of how I wrote them out here in order to make lining up easier. So remember, negative numbers go first, positive numbers go next, and further away from 0 is smaller, closer to 0 is bigger for the negative numbers, and then the positive numbers should be pretty easy. There's nothing really tricky about them. Okay, so try this on your own for a moment, and then we're going to come back and see if you got this right. So, of course, your negative numbers are going to be the smaller ones. So what is smaller, negative 2 or 0? Well, negative 2 is smaller because it's further away from 0. So I'm going to write negative 2.31 first. I'm going to get rid of it so I don't worry about it again. And then negative 0.321 is next. Now I'm just going to worry about my positive numbers. Which one is smaller, 2 or 3? Notice how I'm not even looking at the decimal places yet. Now, if this was a 2 and this was a 2, then I would have to start looking at the decimal places. So 2 is smaller, so 2.13. And then the next one is 3.12, and you are finished. Okay, now we're going to compare and order fractions using least common denominator. Now, both of these have a 6 up front, and this one we're going to have to change it around to figure out what kind of a whole number that's going to be, because this is an improper fraction. So we're going to make it into a mixed number so we can compare these mixed numbers to that. But before we do anything else, we need to get a common denominator for them. So let's change this. Yeah, why don't we change this into the mixed number? So 73 divided by 12. So 12 into 73, that will go 6 times. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. That gives me a remainder of 1. So 6 is going to be my new whole number, and then the remainder goes on top, and the divisor goes on the bottom. Now I can find my common denominator. So I have 3, 4, and 12. Both 3 and 4 go into 12. So my new common denominator is going to be 12. So 6 and something over 12, and then 6 and something over 12, and 6, and I know this is 1 over 12 because that's the same thing. And then 3 times what is 12? 3 times 4. So I have to do 2 times 4, which will give me 8 on top. And then 4 times 3 is 12, so I have to do 3 times 3 on top, which will give me 9. And now since I have all of my whole numbers are the same, all of my denominators are the same, I can just compare the numerators. So 1/12 is the smallest. So if I'm going from least to greatest, I'm going to write 6 and 1/12 first. Then 6 and 8 over 12 is next. And then 6 and 9 over 12 is next. Now, you can also compare fractions using cross product rule. Now, this will only work with pairs, and you have to be very careful so you don't get it mixed up. So, you're going to use cross multiplication. So, you're going to do 7 times 7. And since I'm taking my top number from the right, I'm going to write this product on the right. So 7 times 7 is 49. Then I'm going to do 5 times 9. And since I'm doing, I'm taking my top from the right side, I'm going to write my product on the right side. So 5 times 9 is 45. Now, which one is greater? 49 is greater than 45, which means 7 over 9 is greater than 5 over 7. Make sure you keep everything lined up right, because if you get that confused, you will not get the right answer. So try comparing negative 6 over 11 and negative 2 over 9 on your own, and you can use either method. So let's go over these. So I have negative 6 over 11, negative 2 over 9. So first I'm going to try using the common denominator. So my least common denominator between 11 and 9 is going to be 99. 11 times 9 is 99, so I need to do negative 6 times 9. So it's going to be negative 54. And then I have to do 9 times 11, so negative 2 times 11 is negative 22. And which one of these is going to be further away from 0 because they're negative? Negative 54 is further away from 0, so it's going to be smaller. Now, you can also do this using the cross product rule. I'm going to be very careful lining it up right. So, negative 6 times 9 is going to give me negative 54. And then negative 2 times 11 is going to give me negative 22. So, negative 54 is smaller than negative 22, which means negative 6 over 11 is going to be smaller than negative 2 over 9. Now, if you have to order a set that contains both fractions and decimals, you need to try to make them look kind of the same, and also really use your logic. You have to really think about it. How can you make this easier? So, first of all, one of these numbers is negative. Negative 4 and 3 over 4, which means my negative number is going to be my smallest number. So if I'm going from least to greatest, the first number I'm going to use is negative 4 and 3 over 4, and I'm done with it. I know that that's the smallest one because it's negative. Then I have 3 and something, some change, 4 and some change, and 4 and some change. So what is my next smallest number? It's going to be the one that has a 3. So 3 and 1/7. And then I just have to compare 4.9 and 4.08. I'm going to line them up. Now, if you can do it without lining it up, that's fine, but for some of you, this might help you. So 4s are the same, but 9 is bigger than 0. So 4.08 is going to be my next smallest number. That's 4.08 is my next number, and 4.9 is my next number, and I am done. So try ordering these from least to greatest on your own. Again, try to think through it logically, see how you can make it easier on yourself. And then we'll come back and check it. Okay, so first of all, I really don't like this improper fraction right here, the 16 over 5. So I'm going to turn it into a mixed number. So I'm going to divide 16 by 5, my top by my bottom. And 5 goes into 16 3 times. 5 times 3 is 15. My remainder is 1. So instead of having 16 over 5 now, my answer is my whole number, my remainder is my top, and my divisor is my bottom. The next thing I need to do is just take a look at these. Do I have a negative number? Yes, I do. There's only one negative number, which will make it the smallest number. That's negative 7.4. So that's my first number. Then I need to find my smallest positive number. So I have a 4 and some change, 4 and some change, and 3 and some change. So this is going to be my next smallest number. So 3 and 1/5. And I'm done with that. Now I need to compare 4.7 and 4 and 7/8. Now they're pretty close. One is a decimal, one is a fraction. So I have to figure out a way to make them look the same. Either both have to be decimals or both have to be fractions in order to be compared to each other. So I can do it one of two ways. I can either make 4.7 into a decimal, which would make it 4 and 7 over 10, and then get a common denominator between. So I'm going to take this over here so I have some more room. So 4 and 7/10, and then I have 4 and 7/8. My common denominator between the two of them is going to be 40. So it's going to be 4 and something over 40 and 4 and something over 40. 10 times 4 is 40, so 7 times 4 is 28. 8 times 5 is 40, so 7 times 5 is 35. So here I can see that 4 and 28 over 40 is smaller than 4 and 35 over 40. So 4.7 is smaller than 4 and 7/8. Now, there is another way I can do this. I can turn 4 and 7/8 into a decimal. So I have 4 and 7/8. I'm going to make the 4 way ahead of me, and then I'm going to divide 7 by 8, the top by the bottom. So 8 doesn't go into 7, that will give me a 0, and I'm going to then add a decimal point and a 0. So 8 into 7 will go in 8 times, and then 8 times 8 will give us 64. 70 minus 64, we're going to borrow 1 from here, so 10 minus 4 is 6. I'm going to bring down another 0. Then 8 into 60 will go in 7 times, and then 7 times 8 will give me 56. Again, I'm going to borrow, so 10 minus 6 will give me 4. I'm going to bring down another 0. 8 into 40 will give me 5, and then 5 times 8 will give me 40, and that will end up being a 0. So then I'm going to take this and reunite it with its whole number, so 875. And then I can line it up with 4.7, and I can see which one is bigger. Well, 4.875 is bigger than 4.7. So again, you see we got the same answer here than we got here, where the fraction that was the same as 4 and 7/8, which was 4 and 35 over 40, was bigger than 4.7, which became 4 and 28 over 40. Here I had, so 4.7 was 4.7, and 4 and 7/8 became 4.875, and I can see how 4 and 7/8, which became this decimal, is still bigger than 4.7. So I'm going to continue ordering these. So my next smallest one is 4.7, as we found out 2 ways, and my biggest one is going to be 4 and 7/8. Sorry, it's a little bit messy here. And that's it. So if you have any questions, ask me tomorrow, and I will see you then.